Are you ready to have your heart torn out? Are you one of those people that loves those books that makes you cry and cry? I know you're out there. I've seen the postings. Hey, can you give a book that'll kill me, destroy me emotionally? And there's a million books listed. So I know the books exist, and I know you exist too. So hey everybody, welcome to the Deluise Book Series. I'm Kristina, Kristina. I need your likes and subscribes desperately. And if you are a subscriber, thank you. I appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. I'm very low tech. I have no lighting, no microphone. It's just me reading books, talking books. I can't go pointing stuff and have stuff appear. I'm just not that way. So I really need your support in my little old channel. I'm reading books and talking books. And today we are having our heart wrenched out. Okay? Totally wrenched out. Alright. The Ghost of Christmas Past. And I got my little tree here for Christmas. I didn't use a lot of that lately. Alright. So, we've got so much heart-wrenching. Okay, first of all, we get the news that Molly is going through a serious bout of depression. The child that she found out she was carrying at the end of the last book, she has miscarried. And having been down that road myself personally, it is heart-wrenching. And to do it more than once is double heart-wrenching. So Molly is seriously depressed about that. She's upset that Daniel may or may not have a job when the new commissioner comes in because he's too honest, and the people in Tammany Hall just don't like him because he's just too honest. And her mother-in-law came down with pneumonia, but she's improving, so that's the good part of it. But her mother-in-law has also hired another servant, Ivy, to replace Bertie, because Bertie is living with Molly and Daniel and she's attending school. And then we get word from Seamus. Now you remember way back in the beginning, Molly came over to New York from Ireland under an assumed name. It was Kathleen, because Catherine had wanted to take her children to New York to see their father, but Catherine came down with an illness and she was going to die. So she had Molly bring Bertie and Seamus Jr. to New York, and she reunited them with their father, Seamus Senior, but he was having a very difficult time with Noella. They lived in the slums. It was horrible. Then Seamus leaves Bertie with Molly, and Seamus Senior and Junior go off to the Panama Canal. Well, it's been several years and there's been no contact from them whatsoever. And then they get a letter saying Seamus is coming back and he wants to take Molly home to Ireland with him. And Molly's heart's wrenched out, Bertie's heart's wrenched out, Sid and Gus's hearts, everybody's crying and bawling and everything. So anyway, Florence Lind is an old friend. Sorry, I got an itch. Is an old friend of Mrs. Sullivan's, and she invites Mrs. Sullivan to come spend Christmas with her sister who used to be active in the women's suffrage movement, and she had to quit to raise her sister's two daughters. And so she has one of the daughters went off and the other daughter is still living, and the daughter that's still living, the niece is still living, is wealthy, and she married a Sullivan, Mr. Cedric Van Aken. So Mrs. Florence invites Mrs. Sullivan to come up and spend the holidays with them. So then, of course, Mrs. Sullivan goes up and finds out she's the only extra person in the house. The rest are family members, and it's just like the four of them. So Mrs. Florence says, why don't Molly and Ian and Daniel and Bertie come up to the house and spend Christmas with them? Because in the meantime, Sid and Gus have been invited out of town too. So Molly's like doubly depressed that Sid and Gus are going to be gone. So since Sid and Gus are going to be gone and there'll be nobody there for them to have Christmas with, Molly and Daniel accept the invitation up to Florence's house. And so they get up there, and Winnie Van Aken is very wealthy, and her father, Mr. Carmichael, and they're also living with the great aunt Clara and Aunt Florence, the one that's invited all these people. And Aunt Clara keeps confusing Molly with people that have long been since deceased, and this is bothering some people. It bothers one person more than the rest. I mean, everybody's concerned about it, but one person will take action above the rest. So then Molly and Daniel arrive at the house, and they feel this tension. There's something going on. They don't know what it is, but there's something going on. And so like I said, Aunt Clara is convinced that Molly is Winnie's sister Lizzie, and Molly goes to apparently the house next door is owned by Carrie Chapman Catt, and she was a leader of the suffragists, and Molly had met her at Sid and Gus's party, and she goes over to the house and finds Sid and Gus. So she's all happy that they're all together. So they have this big house party, and it's revealed that the Akins had a little girl disappeared when she was 3 years old. And Molly starts, her investigating things. She wants to know why this stone wasn't overturned or this stone wasn't overturned, and she's determined to do a little bit of investigation. And she's doing it, secretly on the side, whatever. Then, Christmas Eve, this girl arrives at the house and announces she's Charlotte, the long-lost daughter. And Cedric doesn't believe her. He would be her father. And hires Daniel and Molly to confirm Charlotte's identity. And then Aunt Clara, who was having all those, I think you look like this, I think you're this person that's come back from the past, and I said that everybody was concerned, but one person was going to do something about it. Well, apparently, Molly does some investigation and discovers that the woman was murdered. She was suffocated. And she goes, Daniel, come on, come up, you got to come see. So they go up to the room, and Daniel looks, and he's like, yes, you're right, Molly. She's got the pink spots in her eyes. She was killed. She was murdered. So then Molly starts trying to investigate and have Daniel look through. Molly's sister, Winnie's sister, and Molly and Daniel investigate Winnie's sister and her potential husband or friend, or Cedric's childhood friend, Henry Wheaton. So Cedric and Daniel discuss the possibility of Charlotte being an imposter. Meanwhile, Molly is investigating the death of Aunt Clara, and she does all the little investigating. Then she asks Sid and Gus to come over to the house to quiz Charlotte, because Charlotte claims she spent her time in Boston, and Sid and Gus spent a whole lot of their time in Boston, so they know stuff. And Charlotte didn't answer the questions right, so they're believing she's false. And then Daniel discovers that Daniel Wheaton, the childhood friend of Cedric's, was found dead a little shortly after the child Charlotte went missing. Then Charlotte overhears a private conversation between Cedric and Winnie, the parent. And let me see if I can do this real quickly. You say anything and you know what can happen, don't you? He whispered to her, I can easily do it, and I will if necessary. Winnie shook her arm free. You caused all this, she said, It's about time you took your share of the blame. Revealing. And then Molly has a private conversation with Winnie and learns that Henry Wheaton, the childhood friend, was actually Charlotte's real biological father. Apparently, Cedric was unable to produce children and he wanted a child, so he had his best friend and his wife get together. But unfortunately, instead of producing a son, they produced a girl, and he was quite livid about it, and he refused to let it happen again. And then the sky falls in, something dramatic happens, and there's a dramatic reveal. Mrs. Sullivan's new companion that replaced Bertie, because Bertie used to be her companion, Ivy, her real identity is revealed. Charlotte's real identity is revealed. And Seamus Sr. and Jr. show up, and Seamus Sr. has a new wife. So, to figure out what happens, to find out what happens, to find out what the big reveal is at the end, to find out if Bertie goes with them, and who Ivy and Charlotte really are, and what their secret identity is, you gotta read the book. Ghost of Christmas Past, Rhys, Bowen, and please hit the like and subscribe channel. This book was really good. The first couple of chapters, I was crying my eyes out. I couldn't take it, the heart-wrenching. But once you get past it and the book gets moving, and Molly comes investigating again, it gets good, and it didn't take but 2 hours to read this. It was really good. So please like and subscribe my channel and check out the book, The Ghost of Christmas Past, Rhys Bowen. And thank you for your support. Thank you.